Hasbro doesn't do toe articulation, but come on, do it. Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome back to Venom Month, where today I'm going to be showing you guys a guide of sorts of how to make the definitive Carnage figure, and that is by using the Toy Biz Fearsome Foes box set Carnage. So this guy's had a couple improvements and modifications here and there to make it look better, and also have interchangeable accessories and stuff like that. One of the issues is his shoulder was originally in this position, because he had a bunch of plastic on his back that was pretty much like this, that kind of amount of plastic. When you try moving the arm, it would just get hit and you couldn't straighten his arm out. You could put his arm like that, but you couldn't move his arm back at all. The way Toy Biz did this, it wasn't just the regular like pin and socket where, you know, the shoulder is a disc hinge that rotates like this, and then it just has a pull that goes into a slot inside the shoulder, and then it would just allow it to rotate, and then the hinge allows it to move. But this one, for some reason, Toy Biz used a ball peg, which has like import style articulation, so you have like crazy good range on this. But like I said, they sculpted all this plastic on top, and the joint didn't even move. Oh dear, something fell. And so I'm able to use this, and you can move the shoulders up, which makes it look better, because most comic book characters, even human beings, their shoulders are level with their traps. So you can see, like Green Goblin, not quite the best example, but you can see his shoulder is closer to his trap, and he's not like this. And also by cutting plastic, his arm's not perpetually stuck like at this angle. Like you move his hand, you move his bicep, you can't have his arm like straight back like that, you know. The reason I'm choosing this specific Carnage body is because Hasbro has made a couple, but most of them are just Bucky cap with a Carnage head and Carnage tendrils and stuff attached, like this, which is kind of dumb. I don't want Bucky cap. I already have like 2 or 3 of them, and I don't want any more. And I did have that Carnage. I used it for customs, for various different customs. And I kept the head because the head is pretty cool looking on it. And then I'm also not using the Venom Pool Build-A-Figure Wave Carnage, even though I do think that is Hasbro's best looking Carnage. The articulation still is kind of bad. Like he has butterfly joints that they do that, like that's it. They don't really work. Ab crunch I think on it is good. He can only spread his legs like that much, which kind of sucks. Whereas this guy he can go past the splits because how the balls are done. And then the legs can go back. He has really good leg range on this Carnage. These are like Toy Biz using the ball hip joints to like their best potential, where you get like crazy good range on these. So that's also why I'm choosing this one. There's also the Toy Biz Spider-Man Classics Carnage, which I used to have, and I made a custom because it got damaged and my dog destroyed it. And that's what he looks like. This figure tends to have, I don't know if it's a QC issue, but it tends to come out almost looking black. But this teeth has a sort of like gummy looking mouth. Like he has like this black mouth thing where he doesn't have the visible teeth, like, and you're to put that head on this body. I think that looks pretty cool. And then also, on top of that, I sanded down the ball peg so I can take it off in order to make the head stay on. And it stays on pretty good. It does wiggle, but it doesn't come off. And you can see how that head looks. I think that head also works pretty good on this body. And it not having all the texture throughout, it kind of blends it with this body, because this body doesn't have texture. It just has these sculpted details, but it doesn't have like a texture to it, you know. I made this custom head last year for Venom Month, which it doesn't look the best, and it looks kind of big, it sits kind of high, it's a little janky looking. But if you were to make a custom Carnage head, or even just find some other Carnage heads to put on this guy, you could slap a Carnage head on this guy, and just to make it look, give it different looks, you know. So you have like the original style head, you'd have like the Toy Biz Spider-Man Classics, and then you'd have like pretty much like the default Carnage head, a Cletus Cassidy head, which Hasbro did make one. It would kind of be like if somehow you could put a Hasbro head on a Toy Biz body and have it be the right size. Across the Spider-Verse 2099 blast that came with Spider-Man 2099, symbiote kind of blast, like a web effect blast for a symbiote. Like I said, his shoulder is kind of loose, but you get him like shooting that blast like he's trying to shoot Spider-Man, and he gets him and, you know, does whatever. Yeah, so that's an effect that could be used for that. Another thing is, I made these axe hands also last year for Venom Month, but you see he's got like a weird sort of a stabbing axe hand. Carnage just makes kind of like whatever weapons with his hands that he wants, and you can put this one on there, so you got like this big axe hand, which Carnage typically uses an axe hand, just like no hand, and it just goes from his forearm into the axe. And other times, like with the Hasbro version, he has like a fist with the axe coming out of the fist. And so I think either one works. I decided to go with this look because honestly, I can't sculpt a fist. You know, grab them. If you were to put glue dots or something and then put Spider-Man like put a wire on Spider-Man, and it could be like Carnage is like holding him up, and just like throw him off the camera, and boom, there he goes. But yeah, so I think this sort of makes the definitive Carnage. Of course, if you were to make this custom, it's kind of risky because you could risk ruining this arm. But let's say you were able to do this custom, or in this case, I did the custom. This would like vastly improve as far as the interchangeable parts and the accessories of it. Like it gives him way better arm range. You know, then you would have technically like 5 interchangeable head sculpts. But yeah, so I'd say that this would be the definitive Carnage body. Just to, you know, make some accessories for this guy. Also, for the hands, which I didn't go over in this, but the hands, you'd have to heat them up, boil the hands or whatever, use a hairdryer and pop them off. But if you do this, be very careful, because this is PVC, which is squishy plastic. So if you force it too much, it'll just rip like licorice, for example, or like gummy candy, which I mean, kind of the same thing. And then I sanded this pin down. I sanded it down in here a little bit so I could just take the hands off and pop them off. This is sculpted out of clay, and this piece right here is a wooden stick it was marketed as being used for s'mores, and so I got that, and it's like the perfect fit for this. With the Hasbro hands, for the Hasbro hands, you could just use like maybe some fodder hands and just like sculpt this over top of it, and like a big claw hand. So that one's also a good choice. Just maybe swap some heads. But if you were to use the Toy Biz heads on the Hasbro body, you would have to make this hole way bigger to make it. I mean, this one has stuff put in it, but you'd have to make a way bigger head hole on this. Like maybe not drill a hole, because what if you go through the head, but just like Dremel it out, or just like cut it out with a knife, so you can make the head big enough to fit on a Hasbro one. But as far as the articulation on this guy goes, even with this head on, he looks up decently far. He goes down all the way. It does rotate all the way around. It does come off, but sometimes that's an issue with customs where, unless you make things perfectly to fit on a figure, you might have parts that fall off, especially if they're interchangeable. The head does wiggle a little bit to the sides if you kind of angle it, which the original one can't. The original one has the same head range. The arms go up all the way like that. This one is loose. I'm probably going to try to fix it. The arms rotate all the way around. Here's a bicep swivel, and this one, because the improved joints, has pretty much a butterfly joint, which still doesn't offer a ton of movement going forward, but it does offer you different angles you can adjust his arms at. It's kind of more like nuanced posing rather than like, you know, armpit joints that have like really good range. That bicep swivel, double joint in the elbow, which has really good range, rotation here at the forearm, and a hinge at the wrist, which has really good range as well. The thumb, for some reason, the thumb rotates like this, which it's kind of weird. The index finger moves independently, and then the last 3 fingers move together. The ab crunch, I didn't modify the ab crunch because it has decent range going forward, and it goes, oh, it cracks. It goes all the way back. There's a waist swivel as well. Like I said, he can do past the splits, which is more than you need, but he can do it. The legs go back a decent amount, out to the side, but they go back still pretty far. The legs kick forward. Both of them kick forward really high. The left one kicks up a bit higher. He has a thigh swivel, which is a ball, but you know, single bend double bend in the knee, which is not much better than a single bend, honestly. That's like the only articulation issue this guy has. He has a boot swivel, the ankle goes all the way forward, all the way back, and he has a toe joint. I mean, his feet aren't flat on the ground, but you can get his legs spread pretty far and have him still balance. Like, he's not leaning on anything there. Standing on his toes, like if he's like hunched over something like this, like he's like hunched forward about to lunge, like you can get him to balance on his toes there. And I'm gonna do a shake test. Like I'm shaking you can hear my desk shaking, and he doesn't fall down, so he's pretty stable on his feet. Body itself, I mean, this is a repaint of the classics Carnage. I think this one is painted better, and I know I complain about Hasbro repainting stuff, and I hate it when they do, honestly. When Toy Biz did it, they only used this body twice ever, you know. Just like Sinister Six Venom is using the Sabretooth body. This was the only repaint they ever made. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this video. Let me know what you think about a Carnage that, like hypothetically, if there was a Toy Biz figure that had all these interchangeable accessories, I think that would be pretty cool. Or if Hasbro were to make like another Carnage body that has posability as good as this, and then they just gave it like a bunch of interchangeable heads, a bunch of weapons and stuff, maybe even toe articulation. Hasbro doesn't do toe articulation, but come on, do it. Let me know if you like Venom. Let me know if you like Carnage, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Wow.